All right, picture this. You wake up, sun's barely up. Still got sleep in your eyes, and all hell is breaking loose outside. I'm talking 80 head of cattle screaming bloody murder like the world's ending, because in a way it is. I stumble out onto my porch, coffee not even brewed yet, and there it is, a wall. Not a metaphor, not some little picket fence, but a full-blown concrete barrier thick as a highway divider right across my only access road. It's like someone decided to build the Berlin Wall overnight just for me. And who's standing there on the other side? Priscilla Thornfield in her immaculate suit phone, out filming my meltdown like she's shooting an episode of Rich People Ruin Everything. She waves some official-looking papers, and with a voice sweeter than spoiled milk, declares it's all about emergency aesthetic compliance. Unpaved roads, she says, compromise property values. Meanwhile, my cattle haven't eaten in half a day, and my family's 40-year-old ranch has been turned into a concrete prison. I guess everyone's got their breaking point, right? Mine just happened to arrive on a Tuesday at 6 a.m., delivered with a smirk and a cell phone. Now let me back up a second and put you in my boots. I'm Tank Rodriguez. Yeah, that's really my name. I've been running this ranch since my old man Miguel passed away 3 years back. He built it from nothing after coming up from Guadalajara in '82, just a pair of busted boots and a dream he never let anyone stomp out. 80 acres, 80 cattle, and one old dirt road that tied us to the rest of the world. Same road we've always used since before any of these luxury homes were so much as a bad idea in a developer's mind. Every morning, 5:30 sharp, I fire up Dad's ancient Ford diesel, still runs, still stinks like burnt oil and determination. I pour my coffee black straight into the dented thermos he used for decades. That routine kept me sane after coming back from Iraq, 4 years patching up Humvees that fell apart as fast as my nerves dodging bomb snipers and Texas heat that makes you pray for the AC in hell. Army life taught me a lot, mainly that any problem can be fixed with the right tools and enough grit. So when I saw that wall, I didn't think give up. I thought, all right, let's see what you've got. But see, the real trouble started long before the wall. It started when Connor Thornfield swaggered into our valley pockets full of business degrees and an ego big enough to need its own zip code. Bought up every piece of farmland he could, bulldozed it into Thornfield Meadows, a so-called luxury development where folks pay more for a lawn than my dad made in 5 years of honest work. Imported trees, artificial smiles, and homeowners who think agriculture is just something you read about at Whole Foods. And Connor's wife, Priscilla, well, let's just say she's the kind of woman who could make a nun feel guilty for breathing too loud. She's got that city council badge, HOA, president's sash, and an Olympic-level talent for being offended by things like the smell of cows or the sound of a pickup at dawn. 6 months ago, the complaints started letters about olfactory disturbances and aesthetic disruptions. I tossed them, figured she'd get bored. That was my first mistake. Letters kept coming, each one nastier than the last, like junk mail crossed with a legal threat. But none of that held a candle to what was really burning her up. Back in 2010, Connor tried to buy our land serious money too. Dad laughed in his face, told him to take his check and put it somewhere the sun don't shine, in words that'd make a Marine blush. Connor never forgot that, and neither did Priscilla. So when that wall went up, it wasn't just about community standards. It was personal revenge wrapped in bureaucracy, served with a garnish of daily fines. And let me tell you, the fines racked up quick, $200 a day for illegal access point infrastructure violations. Day 1, I figured this would blow over. By day 7, staring at $1,400 in fines and 80 hungry, angry cows, I realized I was in a war, not a disagreement. My life turned into a twisted workout routine, hauling 50-pound feed sacks half a mile through knee-deep mud, slicing up my boots and my back, while Priscilla paraded around filming every struggle like she was gunning for an Emmy in Most Annoying Neighbor. Still, I wasn't about to let my dad's dream die in the mud. Late one night, I drove into town straight to the county records office. Dolores Martinez, the clerk, recognized me right away. Small town, you know everyone. Heard about your Thornfield troubles? Tank, she said, like I was asking about the weather. I showed her my deed, told her about the road. She pulled out stacks of old survey maps, fingers tracing lines back to a time before HOA was even a 4-letter word. Road's always been there, she said, but proving it in court, that'll cost more than most folks can handle. Then Dolores dropped the kind of hint that makes your skin crawl. Connor built half the concrete in this courthouse. He's got friends in high places. I spent 3 hours snapping photos of every page that might save my ranch. Buried in those files was a bombshell: the county had never officially abandoned my road. In other words, it was still public property. Priscilla was in for a surprise. But she had her own play. Next morning, the local news wouldn't touch my story. Too civil, not criminal enough. That afternoon, a deputy delivered a restraining order courtesy of Judge Morrison. Priscilla claimed I'd threatened her, not just yelled at a wall. Security footage caught me cursing in Spanish, finger pointing her way. Suddenly, I was legally banned from my own ranch's entrance. On paper, I was now a trespasser on land I'd bled for. But here's where she messed up. The order only covered HOA infrastructure and her house. Nothing about county property or public easements. And I had documents proving my access road was in fact county property, which meant the Thornfields weren't just HOA bullies, they were breaking federal law by blocking it. With my main entrance off limits, I was stuck. That's when Earl Hutchinson, neighbor, lifelong friend, the kind of guy you trust to watch your back in a bar fight, offered me a back way through his pasture. 2-mile mud slog, turning a 30-minute job into a 3-hour circus. But I took it because desperate people find a way. It gave me time to think, too, about how none of this was really about roads or noise or cows. This was economic warfare, one step at a time, using paperwork and mud and misery to squeeze me out. Priscilla doubled down, sent a city inspector about excessive diesel emissions. Another $500 fine, more legal quicksand. Then the real twist: fresh tire tracks through Earl's field surveyor stakes and new concrete footings marking the start of another wall right where I'd been sneaking through. Earl gets a visit from the county surveyor. Suddenly, after 30 years, the HOA claims 20 feet of his land. The timing couldn't be more poisonous if they tried. Turns out the surveyor's a golf buddy of Connor's. I realized I was up against a machine, a network of officials, contractors, and lawyers, all playing from the same playbook. So I switched tactics. I stopped looking for sympathy and started digging for leverage. One night at the courthouse, I noticed Susan, a contracts clerk, pulling up records on her screen. Thornfield Construction, she muttered, more contracts than Christmas presents. And right there, a $2.3 million federal contract to improve my access road signed off 18 months ago. But the road wasn't improved. It was gone. Connor had stolen public money, paved over my access, and called it progress. I took copies, made backups, shared them with the one lawyer in town who didn't owe Connor anything, Gloria Martinez. She saw what I saw: wire fraud, conspiracy, misuse of federal funds. But she said, we need more. One contract and a wall won't topple this castle. That's when Mike Santos, an old Army buddy turned state investigator, stepped in. He'd heard rumors of Connor's scams in other counties. My evidence was the missing piece. This is racketeering, Tank. We can nail them if you don't get yourself killed first. You ever notice how when you finally land a real punch, the other guy stops playing by the rules? That's what happened next. Bank accounts frozen on phony terrorism allegations. My truck's sabotage, transmission leaking, almost left me stranded at night on a deserted road. Classic setup for a robbery gone wrong. Only I'd seen enough of those setups in Iraq to know the play. Mike pulled me into protective custody. The FBI brought in a task force. Surveillance, wiretaps, the works. Turns out Connor and his goons were already planning to permanently resolve the Rodriguez problem. Direct threats, bribes, the works caught on tape, sent straight to federal prosecutors. Still, these folks didn't blink. Saturday night, someone cut my fence, sent 80 cattle running wild toward the highway. Potential death lawsuits, ruin. What Connor didn't know: the FBI had cameras everywhere. Got the whole thing, license plates, faces, voices caught in 4K. Monday morning, the cavalry arrived. FBI, IRS, state police, black SUVs storming Thornfield Meadows at dawn. Arrest warrants flying like confetti. Connor, Priscilla, their cronies dragged out in handcuffs while the whole town watched. They even timed it for the county commissioners' meeting just to twist the knife. I stood in that courthouse folder, thick with evidence in my hands, and told the story of how my dad's dream almost got crushed by greed and power. The prosecutor called it one of the biggest rural property theft conspiracies they'd ever cracked. Every penny Connor stole, every property he tried to take, was going back to the rightful owners. Thornfield Meadows liquidated, sold off, the funds split between the families and the taxpayers. My ranch open road cattle grazing mortgage paid off by the federal whistleblower reward. And you know what? The real victory wasn't the money. It was seeing our community heal, Watching old neighbors get their land back, new rules put in place so no one else would ever get steamrolled like that again. The scholarship fund I set up in my dad's name sent 23 local kids to college this year, including 2 whose families nearly lost everything to Connor's schemes. Funny thing, justice, it doesn't always come easy, but when it hits hard. Connor's doing 15 years in federal prison. Priscilla got 8, her assets seized. The officials who played along, out of office, banned for life, some facing their own sentences. And me, I'm still here, coffee in hand, watching my cattle road wide open. Looking back, the hardest thing to swallow is how close I came to losing everything. Not just the ranch, but the belief that hard work means something. That the system, as crooked as it gets, can still swing the right way if you fight long enough. Sometimes the only thing standing between you and a bulldozer is the truth and the willingness to drag it kicking and screaming into daylight. So here's my question for you. Where's the line between justice and revenge? How far would you go to protect what's yours, even if it means taking on the whole damn system? Drop your thoughts below. Got your own story of HOA hell or a neighbor from, well, you know where I want to hear it. Maybe it's time your nightmare got the justice it deserves too. And if you stuck with me this far, share your take on right, wrong, and what you'd have done if it was your family behind that wall. I read every comment, and trust me, you never know which story might spark the next showdown. Stay strong, neighbors. Justice isn't always quick, but when it comes, oh boy, is it sweet.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video. Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.